Let's learn something really quick.
If you got the time, absolutely. And you got the discipline, there's no question about it.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great practice to put into your everyday life, you guys.
You generally regret the things you don't do, not the things you did do. Let me say it that way.
Mic drop. This was just awesome. I love meeting my guests in person, and it's a whole nother animal, and the energy is just electric. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. And we're back. As you can see, we've got our resident relationship wizard, Fred Towsman. If you're new here, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Fred has got over 25 years as a family and marriage counselor. He has done incredible things. He's very passionate about saving and repairing relationships wherever you might be in that journey. He is here to help. He wants to help. And that is why he is our resident relationship wizard, because he wants to help you. So Fred, welcome back. We have shared so many great things with people over the last, several episodes that we've gone live here. Today, we're going to talk about how to have a thriving relationship. But before we start getting into that, do you want to just kind of tap off that introduction with a little bit more of your background?
Sure. I've been in practice, as you said, over 25 years. Probably helped thousands of people to either fix, revitalize, or save their relationship. And that ability came from a horrible experience for me when my first wife left me. And I realized that I, as a marriage counselor and as a person that had no idea how to make a relationship work, that was like my turning point. That caused me to really dig deep to figure out what actually works to make a relationship work. And that's what I do in my relationship, my marriage, my second wife of 28 years. And that's what I do with all my clients. Practice what I teach.
Right.
Believe in that.
And isn't it amazing where we are on a certain path and there's something that happens to us, good, bad, or indifferent, that changes our path and changes our direction. And it allows us to either grow or see things a little bit differently. And I love that you've shared that all the time, that this is why you're so passionate to save relationships, because you went through something that was a little traumatizing. Felt like you got sideswiped, right? And nobody that's in a relationship, marriage, whatever you want to define your relationship as, is ever going to be happy with being surprised like that. Like, that is a traumatic thing, to be sideswiped thinking that your relationship is fine. And then all of a sudden your partner leaves you. That is no fun. That has got to create so much anxiety, sadness, depression, angst, like so many crazy emotions. So I love that today we're going to talk about how to have a thriving relationship.
Right.
We both have plenty of experience in that. So
yes.
I like when someone comes to you and they say, I want to have a thriving relationship. What does that mean in your experience for most people?
Well, to me, what that means is that it's consistently loving, kind, emotionally supportive, friendly, positive.
Yeah. And like where you are learning how to have good dialogues on things that you agree and don't agree with, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that we have this illusion that because we're in a relationship with our partner, they see things the same way we do. That's never the case consistently in any relationship.
No. One of your episodes, which was actually quite popular, we just talked about it, was like the power of communication in a relationship. And that's such a key point to have a thriving relationship, is kind of finding those tools and using them so that you can get what you want in your relationship.
Right. And what you don't do is as important as what you do.
What does that mean? Explain that to us.
Well, the way I was taught as a client in therapy is that when you have feelings, especially negative feelings, you get them off your chest when and that will make things better.
Yeah.
Well, it firstly always makes things worse with your partner. You may feel better or not, but nobody likes to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah. Especially when it's impulsive and reactive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's never a good place to come from.
And when you're on the receiving end of negative emotion directed at you or about you, you don't even hear the content.
Yeah.
We go into like immediate fight or flight because about the intensity, about the emotion.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm a fighter. So if my husband doesn't communicate to me in a positive way, I react. I'm a reactor, like, oh wait, why are you coming at me like this? Whoa, this is not good. Like, I'm feeling threatened. And so yeah, for sure. That does not help make a thriving relationship.
Right. Right. I've had couples come to me and they had other marriage counseling or couples counseling if they're not married, and I'll ask how it went, and almost always they're horror stories. Well, we had to talk about our feelings. We felt worse afterwards than we did before the fact. Or the therapist said, gee, maybe we shouldn't be together. It was like one nightmare story after another that I hear.
Yeah, I love that you just shared that because I've had that experience with previous therapists. And what makes you different in that regard when you're working with couples? Because I think that when you ask somebody how they're feeling, especially if they're not in a great place, that's a trigger question.
Well, in my relationship coaching, I prefer to work with people individually because number one, they take more responsibility for their part.
Yeah.
And that number two, they're more open to learning. When people come to couples counseling or couples coaching, they're focused on blaming, making their case, looking for the coach to be the referee. And for the people that, you've heard me say this before, for people that insist on working with me as a couple, I always give them the same warning, which is that you have to understand that when you work with me individually, it's a safe environment.
Right. Yeah.
Couple coaching is never a safe environment because whatever you say can and will be used against you by your partner, especially what you say and how you say it. They're not going to amnesia for your acting out in the couple session.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've experienced that with my late husband. We went through some really intense therapy many, many years ago, and it does not disappear or evaporate once it's set in that room. It goes on with you.
Yeah. And then another key to having a thriving relationship is to understand that people are often in a situation where their partner's not going to get help with them.
So let's talk about that really quick. I love that you say that you want to work one-on-one with your clients instead of as couples, which I think is actually pretty smart. And that's probably not exactly very common, right? I think marriage therapists or counselors want the couple to come in, whereas you want to deal with them one-on-one. So if they start talking about their feelings and wanting to build their case with you, how do you navigate that conversation where they're feeling seen and heard, but also not really investing a lot into those negative emotions?
Yeah, that's a great question. First, I hear them out because people are coming to get coaching because they want to be heard.
Yeah.
Part of it, as well as to get results. They want both.
Yeah.
So I want to hear them out and not just cut them off and just start giving them solutions. Plus, I want to understand what exactly they're dealing with so I can really structure the tools really precisely to them and their situation. And I start each session with, what do you want to accomplish today? What's your positive goal?
Yes.
Which for a lot of people throws them off because they didn't never think about getting coaching or counseling, with a goal.
Yeah. I like that. Fred, well, I want to have a thriving relationship and I'm just arguing with my partner all the time. How do I get it to that place where it's thriving and we're happy together?
Well, first of all, you stop the arguing. You can't stop the disagreeing, but you can stop the arguing. So one of the keys is I would teach you how to only communicate when you're both in positive emotion.
Yeah.
And teach you how to communicate what you're wanting in a way that doesn't put your partner on the defensive. So you can kind of compel them to be cooperative in the way you say it. A lot of what makes a relationship work is a person's commitment to themselves of how they want to be as a partner.
Well, Fred, I can't really control how my partner responds. I'm pretty reactive when we get into an argument, and I'm going to really try not to respond in a negative place. But how do I stop them from continuing to be negative and wanting to argue with me?
Well, when you're both in a calm place, ideally you want to create some agreements.
What does that mean? Like, what kind of agreements?
Well, an agreement that to talk about anything you want to talk about, as long as the timing of that is when you're both in positive emotion. I've got great communication skills. If I try to use them when I'm upset, they go out the window.
Well, that's been our problem. We are communicating when we're both in a negative place and we're not getting past that. It's becoming a vicious cycle in our relationship, and I don't want to stay here. I want us to be in a good place, and I want our relationship to thrive.
Another key to answer your question about making a relationship thrive is that all of us have positive exceptions in our life. That means that in terms of how you treat your partner, there's somebody in each of our lives that we've treated the best, adult, child, or animal. You want to identify for yourself who that is or was, and commit to treat everybody in your life, especially your partner, that way. That's you at your best in a relationship.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So, like the way that I love my dog, I should treat my partner like how I love on my dog.
Yeah, for most of us, that we treat the animals in the life better than humans in our life. So yes.
Yeah, even when they make an accident in the house, I'm still loving them.
Yeah, exactly right.
So that was great role playing right there. I think that was a great example for those of you that are watching or listening. These are just an example of what could possibly going on in your relationship that's creating this negative pattern. And, the key here is how do you make your relationship thrive? And it's to break those negative patterns so you don't continue to repeat it over and over and over again. And if you have children, those negative patterns are going to become generational curses in your children's lives. If you don't stop that and break that pattern, it's going to continue for generations to come, which I think is a very key point because I've been dealing with some of that myself, breaking some of my own personal generational traumas. And I love that you're passionate about saving relationships because there's a lot that goes into that and making them thrive and not continue to create wounds and trauma in your offspring or in people around you, whatever that might look like in relationships.
So one of the things I teach people, because I'm glad you brought that up, is how to no longer be limited or bound by their past. We're all the past, and we all are affected by our past. And nobody is immune from that. But I give people the skills so that they can leave the past where it belongs.
Yeah.
In the past.
I love that.
Something was done to us doesn't mean we have to pass to. That's something we don't want to pay forward.
No, definitely not. And I think that a lot of people get stuck there. And like before we just jumped into this recording, I'm very open and honest about my past. I don't have a great one. I have a lot of trauma, a lot of family abuse, a lot of abuse in general. And I've worked on myself a lot over the years to grow past it, heal from it. And there are certain things that trigger me, right? And I've just recently been triggered. And I just shared this with you. And like, it's a very complicated process, right? To leave things in the past. So let's talk about that with, how you help your clients move past some of those issues or those scars, what have you, and not live there. Because it's hard for some people.
Sure.
I don't want to live there. That's my whole thing with all the stuff that I've been dealing with. I don't want to live in the past. I'm a different person. I don't want to be viewed the same that I was 20 years ago.
So there's different ways. One way is that, especially if you're dealing with family, that they're going to keep bringing stuff up. So their past is also going to be your present.
Yep.
So I really help people to focus on, make the distinction between what they can change and control and what they can't. It's like following the psychological guidelines of the Serenity Prayer.
Okay.
Of being able to change what you can and to really commit to yourself, be at peace about what and who you can't change or control.
Yeah.
I'm working with a client right now, and she's got this incredibly unreasonable, nasty work situation. She's doing her best. She's working all these unpaid hours, and she feels this incredible responsibility.
Oh, wow.
And so helping her to realize that it's not your responsibility. You can't do everybody's job for them. It's
Right.
not your company.
Right.
And to really be aware of what and who you can't change or control, because she's dealing with some really unreasonable people, and to really commit yourself to be at peace
Right.
about what and who you can't change or control. I can't do better than the best possible.
Right. Right. So that this client you're talking about, maybe she's doing this, being selfless in the situation. I don't know what's making her feel that she is obligated to do that, right? There's something that's going on there that she thinks that she has to do that, and not like drawing a line in the sand, or expressing a boundary. So for those of us that are triggered by something from our past, how do we acknowledge that trigger and move past it so that it doesn't have a domino effect in our lives?
I can share with you how I did it.
Okay. Great.
It happened when I was young. It happened when I was 20.
Okay.
And I told you in the past that I had a girlfriend. She had 2 little kids, and we rented a house together, and I was surrogate daddy.
Wow, at 20 years old?
20 years old. Yeah.
Got a lot of responsibility. Good for you.
It was, yeah. And there was an incident that I'll never forget. I had made the kids dinner, and their mom was at work, and they just got back from a friend's house, and they weren't hungry, and they weren't eating. And they said, "You're going to sit here and eat this food until you finish. I don't care how long it takes." And then I thought about that, and I thought, oh my God, where did that garbage come from? And where it came from is my past. It came from, I can remember the incident from when I was a little kid, and my parents making me sit at the table for hours until I finished a given meal. And I hated it. It felt so unfair.
Yeah.
The moment I realized that, I went and I apologized to them. I said, "I'm really sorry. I know that you're not hungry because you probably ate at your friend's house. You don't need to sit at the table. And if you're hungry later, I'll put the leftovers in the bottom shelf so you can reach them and go play."
At 20 years old, you were able to have that kind of like
I don't know I had that awareness, but I did.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah. And then I talked to their mom, and when she got home from work, and then I wanted to share with her my ideas, and so then I sat them down again. And they said that we always try to make you food we think is good for you and you'll like, and if you're hungry at mealtime, great. If you're not, that's okay. And we're always going to put the leftovers on the bottom shelf so you can get them hungry later. Again, I really apologize to you for saying when I said to you before that you had to sit there and eat the food when you weren't hungry.
Yeah.
So that was me. That was me doing the right thing and no longer passing on to them what was
Yeah.
happening to me.
Yeah, you just broke that cycle
Broke the cycle, yeah.
at 20.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a great lesson for you guys. If Fred at 20 can break a cycle, maybe that's you, it's very simple, but it's possible for you too, to break whatever kind of cycle that you need to acknowledge, apologize for, and move past, and create a new dynamic in your relationships, in your life, because it affects your life ultimately too, whatever cycles you're repeating, right?
Yeah. Fix your life, your relationship, your kids' lives.
Yeah.
On all levels.
Man, I wish I had that skill at 20.
I didn't know where that came from.
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty awesome, though. And thank you for sharing that. It's great for people to see that you as a therapist have had to acknowledge some things of your own that you've had to get past along the way as well, because it makes you relatable. And it allows people to see that, hey, he's not perfect because he's a therapist. He's had his own experiences that he's had to grow from, and how he can apply it as he's helping people get through their own stuff too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. We're starting to get a little bit close here on time. Do you have another story you'd like to share with us in terms of perhaps somebody that said they want a thriving relationship that has a thriving relationship now? Do you have a good story for us?
I do. I might have shared with you before, but I had a client who cheated on his girlfriend, and she found out
Okay.
and she was talking breakup. He believed that getting couples counseling with her was his only, like, his last ditch hope.
Yeah.
And she said, absolutely not. You created the problem, you fix it. So he called me, found me, and he called me, and I said I could help him. Helped a lot of people to rebuild trust after infidelity, and gave him the skills to rebuild trust with her. Took some time.
Oh,
It's
sure.
the hardest thing in any couples coaching or couples counseling to do is to help rebuild trust after there's been infidelity, but it's doable.
Yeah.
And she gave him another chance. They got married and they have a child together.
Wow. I don't know if you shared that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There is hope after infidelity. Your relationship can still thrive. It's up to you to make that decision if you want to move forward or not. It's gonna take some work, but it's not impossible. So I love that. Like, and I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if on one of our recent episodes, but I've had experienced infidelity and I've been on the receiving end and I've been the one that has done it. And for me, like, I feel like that is an indication that there's something broken in the relationship that needs to be fixed. And
Sure.
It's not the cheating or the infidelity is a byproduct of what you're not dealing with in your relationship. Personally, that's my personal opinion. People can disagree with me. They want to place all the blame. That's on you. I personally will take responsibility for everything that I do. I will always apologize if I'm wrong. Absolutely. Because that's the only way that I can get better and move forward. And that's going to help me in my relationship thrive as well. Just like my husband, he's got to take responsibility if he does something wrong. He apologizes and I accept it, forgive him, and we move forward. Like, that's a key part of having a good, healthy relationship is acknowledging when you're wrong, forgiving your partner, and moving forward.
Yes.
With that being said, Fred, let's tell the audience, you guys, if you have been tuning in and you stay tuned in all this whole time, Fred is always willing to help you. Like, he is very passionate about saving and helping relationships. He wants to help you. Take him up on his offer. Fred, how can people contact you and learn more about working with you and saving their relationships?
Great. So everybody I've talked about and all those thousands of clients I've helped over the years had one thing in common. They all started off with a free initial discovery call with me. So I'm offering that to our listeners and our viewers. And to get that call with me, you go to bookwithfredT.com. That's bookwithfredT.com.
And we will put that information in the show notes. So wherever you're tuning in at, wherever you're finding us at, if you want to book a call with Fred, take him up on his offer. Or if you know someone that is struggling in their relationship, give them the link to book a call. It's only one call. You could change your life. It could change your friend's life, and it could save your relationship. And Fred, if they want to look at all the testimonials they have, where can they find that?
They can find that at saveyourrelationship.com.
And that will be in the show notes as well. And before we say goodbye, Fred, any last words that you'd like to leave with us?
Well, that you really can have a thriving relationship.
It's possible.
I'd like to show you how to do it.
That's right. It's possible. Well, you guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu. As always, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. Take Fred up on his offer, book a call with him. He's here to help you, and he's here to support you wherever you might be at in your relationship. So as always, you guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
If you are struggling in your relationship or facing a breakup, Fred Towsman can help you. Fred is one of the top marriage counselors and top relationship coaches in the world. For over 25 years, he's helped thousands of his clients who are on the verge of losing their relationship to stop their breakup, even if they feared it was beyond saving, and even if they were the only one who wants to save it. Whatever you're facing in your relationship, he can help you to fix, including infidelity, broken trust, fighting and arguing, not feeling heard and understood, lack of communication and lack of respect, verbal abuse, feeling like you're walking on eggshells, and feeling judged and criticized. Can Fred help you save your relationship and help you to keep your family together? Probably. The best way to know if he can help you is for you to have a no-cost conversation with him. Call or text Fred now to spend some time talking to him. Once he hears about your situation, he can tell you how he can help you. You can call or text him now at 3104-293658 or email him at fred@saveyourrelationship.com. Everyone that Fred helped to repair their relationship had one thing in common. They each had that first conversation with him. To check out his success stories, go to saveyourrelationship.com.